You like games about lying? How about lying and eating your neighbors? If the answer is yes to this question, do I have the game for you? Allow me to introduce you to Suck Up, a game in which you play as a vampire, trying to convince your neighbors to let you inside, and then you eat them. Now, what makes this game very interesting is its use of voice recognition and smart adaptive AI, so you'll actually have to be pretty foxy in your approach, as they just don't fall for anything. Now, where it starts to get really interesting is after your first kill, in which you're able to don the clothes of the fallen and start to use the neighbors' innate trust of each other against them, as they'll let you in more easily if they think they recognize you. Now, what really sets this game apart from others is its use of voice recognition and smart adaptive AI, so you'll actually have to be pretty foxy with your approach. They just don't fall for anything. Now, let's jump into the game and why it inspired me to make this video. Now, you won't be completely unimpeded in trying to get these forbidden midnight snacks. So after your first kill, Frank and his crew will begin to patrol the streets with increasing urgency as people begin to go missing. To elude these guys, you'll need to use a few strategies. The first is to just remain out of sight. There are woods surrounding the neighborhood, and you're more than welcome to just run through them like a bat out of hell. The second way is when you're already spotted, you quite literally can become the bat out of hell. Pressing shift will actually have you shed all disguises and actually turn into a bat and fly away at great speeds. However, if you're caught outside, it's not exactly game over. The neighborhood watch will actually give you a chance to talk your way out of this sticky situation, such as here, when I had to blame my midnight wanderings on a late night sweet tooth. Well, now that we've covered the basics, let's go into why this game is so fun and interesting. Off the bat, no pun intended, you'll see that the AI actually look at your clothing. So you have to adapt how they perceive your outfit and what it could mean for that type of person to show up at their door at that hour. Like this lady named Karen, who assumed I was there to fix her internet because I had traditional Middle Eastern garb on.
Boo, you suck!
Or, when it works out in my favor, like it did when the hipsters wanted to see my sick skateboard tricks. Now, while the AI does like flattery, say, is there a Mrs. Benign around? Dad jokes, what does the moon do when his hair gets too long? Eclipse it. Or even poetry. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words. Oh. What they just seemed to hate most of all was very direct, romantic advances. I think we should have sex, Preston. Which I just found hilarious. Now, this neighborhood is absolutely filled to the brim with wacky and fun characters. Like the conspiracy theorist, who let me in after showing interest in his crop circle ideas. The redneck who briefly debated gun control with me. Or the D&D enthusiast who was going to show me his expertise in vampire slaying right before being slain himself. Each interaction felt fun and fresh, and some of the neighbors even had a distaste for one another, which got me kicked out more than once. Now, I'm going to keep this section brief as there's not too much to talk about, but I'm sure you guys can guess that the developer can't put food on his table off of our enjoyment alone. So the game isn't free, but it isn't a bad price for the amount of fun you get out of it at only $12.99. It took me about 2-ish hours to beat, and I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. Not to mention that the game is still in beta and will be open for updates, and as time goes on, I'm sure this game will develop into something much more rich than it already is. Well, I'm going to leave this video off by saying that I would give this game a solid 8 out of 10. It was a very fun game with a very interesting concept. The game did all that it intended to and more, which led to a very fun session that I just could not put down. I'm going to leave this game's link in the description in case if any of you are interested in checking it out, which I highly recommend you doing. Even with all I've talked about the game, there is so much more to be found yourselves, as each playthrough is going to be different for each person. I hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown and review. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense, and happy sucking.
This festive elf wants to lick on your candy cane.